This page is the cover of N64 Pro magazine, number 14 from December 1998, setting you back a cool £2.99 back in the day. Looks like they're hyping up Rally Edition 99 as a must-have for your Christmas list. Bold claim. Gotta read inside to see if it lived up to that. They're also giving Turok 2, Seeds of Evil a shout-out, calling it the most frightening game of all time, complete with a rather unfriendly-looking dinosaur there. Seems they had a proper scare playing that one. Down the side, we've got features on ISS BritChamp, a world-exclusive first look at Rayman 2, always exciting to get a peek at those sequels, and a review of NFL Blitz, calling it Grand 8's first stunner. Then there's Silicon Valley, which they cheekily suggest is a potential banjo heater. Honestly, high praise indeed if it could challenge the mighty Banjo-Kazooie. Plus, they're promising hints, tips and cheats, a free book, and right at the bottom they're tipping Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye 007, and claiming they've reviewed every N64 game. Quite the boast. Looks like a packed issue for late 98. This page is split in two. The left side is all about Mission Impossible on the N64. It hits you with the big yellow title and the classic burning fuse, telling you to expect the impossible and that your mission starts on September 25th. There are a few screenshots showing some indoor areas. Looks like the game's taking cues from the film, naturally. Over on the right, it's all about the footy game of the year, ISS 98. They're raving about it being a bargain at £39.99, and how obsessed the team, that's the magazine staff obviously, are with it. You get little profiles of 5 blokes: Alex, Steve, Mark, Noelle, and Lewis, each giving a snippet about their ISS 98 prowess or lack thereof, often comparing it to their real-life football allegiances or misfortunes. Poor Mark sounds a bit clueless, while Noelle apparently crushed it until he heard about Rupert Murdoch taking over Manutillid. It also points you towards a special 4-page feature on the ISS 98 British Championship inside the mag. Clearly they were proper hooked on this game. This page is the content spread for the December 1998 issue, giving you a rundown of what's packed inside. Right off the bat, you're hit with some cracking artwork. That futuristic lass looks ready for anything, and Turok 2's dinosaur is as terrifying as ever. It highlights a bunch of games with little circular snapshots, like NFL Blitz and NASCAR for the sports fans, Gex 64 if you're into platformers, though perhaps questioning your life choices, and Pokémon Stadium because, well, it was the 90s. There's the usual mix of features, news, previews, and of course, reviews. They're diving into Rally 99 for the cover story, giving it the big build-up. Also getting the preview treatment are Turok 2, sounds exciting if you like shooting big lizards, Miss Muffet's Biggest Nightmare, spiders and aliens, lovely, and Extreme G2 fast bikes, big weapons sorted. Reviews cover some of the snapshots like NFL Blitz and NASCAR, plus Gex 64, the reviewer sounds skeptical after 23 years of playing games. There's also a review for Alice Trump World, which is apparently only for the rich, lazy or stupid, so you know what you're in for there. Plus you get a free 68-page guide for Mission Impossible, which is a nice bonus. Looks like a solid issue, covering a good spread of N64 goodness from late 98. This page kicks off the news section, led by some cracking artwork of Michael Owen looking determined, promoting World League Soccer 99. Apparently it's making its way to N64, which is good news, especially since the text hints it should be a better go than the 32-bit version, despite some early screenshots looking a bit rough around the edges. Big news arrives with the announcement of the N64 expansion pack, that essential bit of kit that slots into the top of your console, boosting the RAM to 4 MB for sharper graphics in games like Rogue Squadron and Turok 2. Finally, some games are gonna look even better. Rogue Squadron wrestling fans get a nod with the news of Topicon Road 2, the sequel to the Japanese-only original, heading our way. More wrestlers and features sound promising. Nintendo also had a strong showing at ECTS, picking up 3 awards, including the prestigious Game of the Year for GoldenEye 007. Rare got some well-deserved recognition too. It sounds like Nintendo's lining up to keep the awards coming with big titles on the horizon, like the highly anticipated Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Finally, there are some welcome price cuts and lower launch prices for N64 carts, bringing titles like F1 World Grand Prix and 1080 Degrees Snowboarding down to £39.99, with several other classic games also seeing reductions. Always good to see the games getting a bit cheaper. The PC version of Turok 2 is praised, with a 4 MB expansion pack highly recommended for N64. A Xena game and fighting spin-off are also in development. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six is generating significant buzz on PC, with the possibility of an N64 port, potentially before Christmas 2024. Zelda 64 is nearing release, with new screenshots showcasing diverse environments and gameplay. The Japanese version is out, but the UK release is anticipated before Christmas, though limited supply is a concern. The next issue features news on Capcom's London presence, promising more game coverage, and Koei's win-back for deathmatch fans. UK favourite and N64-related charts are included, with Zelda 64 likely topping the wanted games list. Ogre Battle 3 for the N64 is highlighted as a deep tactical RPG, surpassing the SNES version and boasting a strong storyline. A surprisingly chaotic South Park deathmatch game, using the Turok 2 engine, is also showcased. Finally, Turok action figures and a Pikachu-themed item bundled with hardware are noted, though a UK release for the figures is uncertain. Several upcoming games are highlighted, including expansion packs for Turok 2 and Rogue Squadron. Mystical Ninja Goemon 2 is slated for a Western release next year, with improved gameplay. Catch of the Day, an N64 fishing RPG, is also due out later this year. Finally, Rayman 2, The Great Escape, a fast-paced N64 platformer with a stunning 3D aesthetic, is receiving high praise, although the reviewer notes its challenging difficulty. This website tracks software houses' game quality through a league system. Publishers earn points based on game reviews. Excellent equals 3 points, good equals 1, average equals 0, bad equals -2. Tables show Premier League and Division 1 standings, with a Hall of Fame, e.g. Nintendo, and Hall of Shame, e.g. GT Interactive. A star player is chosen monthly, and recent data suggests potential errors in past calculations. A game prediction pool is also featured, with predicted scores tracked against eventual results. This page dives into the upcoming N64 lineup, kicking off with a spotlight on Konami. Seems they were busy back then. They talk about Castlevania 64, which everyone was waiting for, noting it kept getting pushed back, but Konami promised it was worth the wait for those shiny new 3D features. Then there's Hybrid Heaven, billed as a sort of N64 answer to Metal Gear Solid. A big claim, but the write-up suggests it's a solid game in its own right. They also mention Konami's sports offerings, like Blades of Steel and Bottom of the Ninth, and something called Deep Blue, which apparently involved a lot of water and was a bit of a mystery at the time. Oh, and Survivor Day 1 gets a nod too, with not much detail but hinting it was coming. Below that you've got the proper release schedule, the absolute goldmine for knowing what was heading our way and when. It lays out releases for the UK, America, and Japan, even covering those elusive 64DD titles, broken down by quarter. It's a massive list covering everything from late 1998 into 1999, showing just how much was still on the horizon for the N64. Essential stuff for keeping tabs on your wish list. This gaming magazine page highlights must-buy N64 games like Banjo-Kazooie, Mission Impossible, and F1 World Grand Prix, alongside upcoming titles like 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, Turok 2, and Zelda 64, Ocarina of Time. A comprehensive release date list is included. The page also serves as a mail-order catalog for N64 consoles, bundles, new and used games, controllers, memory cards, and accessories like hint books and adapters. This page kicks off the review section proper. After all those juicy release dates and mail-order bits from the last page, it's time to see what's actually worth playing. You've got the rundown here on how they score things. The handy icons tell you if it's an official UK release, a Japanese import, ooh, or a Yank one. And anything over 89% gets that prestigious stamp of approval, basically a big red boot print telling you to just get it bought, because it's flipping brilliant. They're also pushing some official licensed gear, some snazzy N64 controller keychains in various colors, including one with a little clock display, and even a voice memo recorder shaped like the control deck. Handy, I suppose, if you need to quickly jot down game notes on the go, though I can't imagine why you would. The big green lizard Gex is plastered all over the place, because his new 3D platformer is up for review this month. He's apparently going head-to-head with the likes of Banjo and Mario. Lusky. Good luck with that, mate. There are little snapshots of other games getting the review treatment too, showing a mix of sports, racing, platforming and delf. Whatever Alice's 64 Trump collection is. Finally, they introduce the 4 Pro reviewers and give you a peek at their gaming tastes, so you know who likes what genres. You can even send them your opinions apparently. Now, let's get to these reviews then, shall we? This page dives straight into the NFL Blitz review, declaring it rougher than a Salford house party, which immediately tells you this isn't your typical simulation. The intro admits an American football game might not seem appealing, especially from GT Interactive, but claims Blitz is a pleasant surprise. The review itself focuses on the game's arcade nature, rather than realism. It highlights how easy it is to pick up and play, contrasting it with more detailed simulations like Madden or QB Club. The reviewer seems genuinely enthusiastic about the fast-paced, brutal action, even admitting a preference for it over realistic play. They mention the smooth graphics and framerate, suggesting it's even better than the arcade version. High praise indeed. There are screenshots showing the action, from catching a pass to getting sacked, and even a controller diagram showing the simple controls. Sidebars add to the fun like "Can I kick it?" confirming you can, and notes about aggressive play being encouraged. It's clear the game is designed for quick, intense fun, not deep strategy, and the reviewer appreciates that approach, stating everything happens so quickly it's almost comical. Seems like a solid, accessible sports title for the N64. This NFL Blitz review praises the game's arcade-style action, focusing on easy-to-learn controls, primarily A, B, and Z buttons, and fast-paced gameplay. While acknowledging potential AI issues, the reviewer views them as part of the excitement, especially in multiplayer. The full NFL licensing and compatibility with NFL Blitz 99 are highlighted. The N64 score of 89% is defended, emphasizing the game's action-oriented nature and accessibility, contrasting it with deeper simulations. Positive reviews from other critics, including Steve, Alex, and Mark, and even a reader review, support the overall positive sentiment towards the game's instant gratification and fun factor. This N64 NASCAR game review acknowledges a potential bias against comparing it to F1. Initial impressions were of dull oval tracks and handling issues, but the reviewer eventually enjoyed the game. Damage is optional, customization is decent, but a lack of two-player mode is a drawback. Graphics are acceptable for the time, with good car liveries, but environments and night effects are less polished. The 78% score calls it a half-decent racer that fulfills its purpose without being groundbreaking. Steering is less responsive than Top Gear Rally, while physics are better than in San Francisco Rush or MRC. Commentary is criticized as poorly produced. Different opinions from staff and readers exist, with some finding it bland and others enjoying the more challenging tracks. The review highlights the varied car and driver liveries. Overall, it's a solid effort for a NASCAR simulation, despite the lack of broad appeal for British audiences. This page kicks off with a review of Gex, Enter the Gecko for the N64. The headline is pretty bold, positioning it right up against the likes of Mario and Banjo-Kazooie, which, let's be honest, is a tall order on Nintendo's home turf. The reviewer seems a bit skeptical from the get-go, questioning if an N64 owner, spoiled by the platforming kings, would really bother with what's essentially a port from the old PLA station, an inferior machine as they delightfully put it. We see some screenshots showing Gex running about, glowing with energy, and jumping on pads. There's also a diagram helpfully pointing out what all the buttons on the N64 controller do for Gex, covering movement, jumping, attacking, and camera controls. Gear. The review highlights Gex himself, describing him as a lounge lizard character known for his humor and constantly changing costumes based on the level themes, which apparently are all based on TV and film. His main foe is Rez. The text touches on the bravery of the developers tackling the N64 platformer space, and mentions Gex's origins on the PS as their answer to Mario back then. It sounds like Gex has plenty of variety in settings and costumes, though the humor might get a bit repetitive. It's presented as a serious competitor in game design, but the question remains if it can truly stack up against Nintendo's best. There's also a rather menacing-looking boss character looming over the page. This page continues the review of Gex, Enter the Gecko on the N64, and it's not holding back any punches for this port. The reviewer is quite critical, particularly comparing it unfavorably to the N64's platforming titans, like Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie. We see more screenshots depicting Gex navigating different themed levels, facing off against foes, and performing his gecko antics like wall climbing. There's even a rather intimidating shot of Rez, the main antagonist, described as a nasty little blighter you chase through various TV/film themed levels. The core issues highlighted seem to be technical ones, specific to the N64 version. The camera is deemed unintelligent and gets stuck, while the control system, seemingly derived from the PlayStation's digital pad, feels inadequate compared to the N64's analog stick, limiting Gex's movement. The graphics are bluntly called hopelessly inadequate. Even the sound gets a rap, with annoying camera clicking noise and poor mixing. The overall verdict is clear. While it might have been okay on the PSX, the N64 version just doesn't cut it for fans spoiled by superior platformers on the system. It feels like a poor port that fails to adapt to the N64's capabilities. The final score lands at 75%, reflecting its shortcomings despite maybe having some charm or variety. Other opinions featured on the page reinforce the sentiment, echoing that it's not a patch on Banjo and is essentially rubbish for N64 players seeking quality platforming. Pokémon Stadium, despite its visually appealing 3D battles and sound effects, is hindered by its extensive Japanese text. Navigating menus and features is nearly impossible without fluency. Reviewers praise the game's concept but criticize the Japanese version's unplayability due to the language barrier, deeming it a mildly entertaining distraction. The anticipation is high for the English release, where the full experience and potential will be realized. The next page dives headfirst into the world of giant robots, with a review of Super Robot Spirits. It's a game that promised the excitement of massive mechs beating the bolts out of each other, featuring icons like Gundam, but according to the reviewer, it falls pretty short of the mark, earning a rather dismal score of 47%. Despite the cool subject matter, and some decent character designs shown in the screenshots, big robots squaring off in various locales like cities and watery areas, the review highlights that the actual game is a bit of a letdown. The core gameplay is described as a basic beat-em-up with simple moves, a rudimentary aerial combat system, and overall bland graphics. A point also raised is that the story is presented entirely in Japanese, which, frustratingly, makes it impossible to follow for non-Japanese speakers, much like the issues mentioned with that Pokémon game earlier. The reviewer suggests that despite the potential of its Japanese animation license, the game feels rushed and uninspired, lacking the depth or polish found in other fighting games available at the time, like Mortal Kombat 4 or Fighter's Destiny. It seems like a missed opportunity, leaving us still waiting for a truly great robot fighter on the console. This page jumps into a review of something a bit different. 64 Trump Collection, Alice no Waku Waku Trump World. The headline is a bit cheeky, asking, Alice, who the F is Alice? Which certainly grabs your attention. Turns out, it's essentially a collection of card games wrapped up in an Alice in Wonderland theme. The screenshots show various card games being played with characters and settings from the story, like the Mad Hatter's Card Club, and scenes with the White Rabbit. The reviewer found it surprisingly enjoyable, despite the admittedly basic graphics and cheesy music. It features a load of different card games like Rummy, Blackjack, Poker, Bridge, Hearts, Pairs, Cheat, and Solitaire. However, the big catch, just like some other games we've seen, is that it's all in Japanese, which makes following the story mode a bit tricky, though the rules of the card games themselves are pretty universal once you figure them out. Ultimately, the big question posed is why you'd spend 50 quid on importing a collection of card games for your N64 when you could just, play cards for real. It seems like a decent effort with some charm, but perhaps a niche appeal, leading to a final score of 68%. This page dives straight into how you can save a bit of brass. Well, looky here, two weird-looking fellas having a chinwag. One reckons you can save almost 50% on a subscription to the magazine. The other's gobsmacked, asking if it's true they deliver it free and don't charge a penny for the privilege. And what are they chatting about? Only bagging the next 13 issues for a mere 20 quid, which they helpfully point out, is an enormous saving of nearly £19 compared to buying them one by one. That works out at a proper bargain, just over £1.50 an issue. They've made it pretty straightforward too, with a big old subscription order form right here. You can post it in, give them a bell on the hotline, fire off a fax, or even send an email. They even offer a hassle-free option to spread the cost by setting up a direct debit for $1 a quarter. Fill in the details, choose how you want to pay, check, postal order, or credit card, and you're sorted. Never miss another issue, and apparently, subscribers even get it before it hits the shelves. Out of this world indeed. This page kicks off the Cheat Zone Encyclopedia, which is apparently the place to be for all your ill-gotten gains in the N64 world. They're even offering a tidy 20 quid if you send in a cheat they deem worthy of printing. This month brings new tricks for Banjo-Kazooie, F1 World Grand Prix, Cruisin' World, Off-Road Challenge, NFL Blitz, and even Action Replay. It seems they're aiming to give you the best of the new, and the tried and true older games too. They've got pages of codes here, from making baseball players silly or facing off against an alien team in All-Star Baseball 99, to unlocking new tracks and trucks in Off-Road Challenge. F1 World Grand Prix gets you silver and gold races, and even a bonus Hawaiian track, Kale. And Banjo-Kazooie? Well, they've practically given away the farm, with codes for big heads, weird hands, washing machine effects, and loads of collectibles like gold feathers, blue eggs, and red feathers. It's a proper treasure trove of ways to break the game, isn't it? Makes you wonder how many secrets are actually hidden in these old cartridges. Looks like they really know their stuff. This page continues the Cheat Zone encyclopedia fun, kicking off with NFL Blitz. Seems like the best American footy game, and even better with cheats like the Big Head Team. Sounds utterly ridiculous, I love it. You input these codes on the matchup screen using the RNC buttons, followed by the DPAD. They cover all sorts, from Fog On to Hyper Blitz. Yurity. Next up is Forsaken, offering cheats to skip right to the end levels by tapping a sequence on the start screen, as well as codes for tiny vehicles and changing their color. Then there's FIFA 98, where you can enter codes as player names to get things like ghost players or tiny players. Handy if you fancy messing about. F-Zero X is called a favorite office racing game. Ha! Must be for the lunch breaks. The good news is you can unlock all tracks and cars by just pressing buttons on the mode select screen. Brilliant! Conda. Biofreaks, the carnage-infested beat-em-up, gets some love with a key guide and fatalities listed. Lovely. There's also a note about a creation date cheat. Finally, Banjo-Kazooie is back. This month's cheats focus on the spellbooks and double energy. They tell you where to find the first spellbook and how to use the codes on the sandcastle floor for things like infinite lives, air, gold feathers, and even getting all items. Looks like you can really break the game wide open with these. This N64 cheat page offers various cheats for classic games. GoldenEye 007 features invincibility and other tricks. Iggy's Wrecking Balls, Kobe Bryant and Madden 64 also have cheats, including team unlocks and special modes. Other games like Mission Impossible, ISS 64, and NHL Breakaway 98 get cheat attention. Extras include team creation and a random team selector. Yoshi's Story gets infinite fruit, while Quake 64's debug mode is noted. Banjo-Kazooie cheats cover spellbook locations and energy boosts. The page concludes with a list of desired and undesired games, and a call for reader-submitted cheats. This page is all about diving into the world of cheating with the Action Replay cartridge. It makes it clear from the off that you need the device for these codes, so no messing about trying to input them otherwise. The intro bit gives you a bit of a nudge and a wink, saying it's the best way to cheat but maybe don't ruin the game completely, yeah? It even has a funny little pink dolphin character getting in on the act. Then you get down to the serious business. Loads of codes for cracking games. We're talking Bomberman 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing, Duke Nukem 64, Forsaken, GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64, Mystical Ninja, Super Mario 64, Top Gear Rally, WCW vs NWO, Yoshi's Story, Lilat Wars and even Quake. They've packed it with cheats for everything from infinite health and ammo, to unlocking characters and getting all the items. There are screenshots scattered about to show you what games they're talking about. You've got glimpses of Bomberman, Mario and a few others. It's the ultimate toolkit if you want to breeze through these titles. This page gives you the lowdown on the final stretch of Banjo-Kazooie, specifically tackling Grunty's Furnace Fun board game and the final boss fight. It starts by telling you how to get to the board game entrance near Click Clock Wood. Handy if you've somehow missed it. The board game itself is basically a big trivia challenge with special squares. You've got which squares for those tricky questions? Hope you wrote down Grunty's rhyming insults. Joker squares to skip a question, useful. Stopwatch squares giving you timed tasks, avoid those. And the dreaded skull squares which mean instant death if you get the question wrong. Nasty. Once you're done with the board game, and presumably saved Tootie, it's on to the actual final showdown with Grunty on her tower. The guide breaks down the fight into stages. Battlements, dodge her attacks, ground attacks, avoid her broomstick and fireballs, and the fireball attack stage where you need to egg her 3 times. The Jinjos even get involved, helping you out after you free them by egging their statues. It highlights the big deal about having 882 notes to get the double health bar, making the final fight miles easier. Without it, apparently, she's as hard as nails. The guide finishes by mentioning the ending sequence and how Mumbo will reveal secrets if you've nailed all the notes and jiggies. Basically, get everything if you want the full story. This page delves into the yearly European Computer Trade Show, or ECTS as we all know it, reminding us it stands for European Computer Trade Show, despite what some cheeky sods might think. It's Britain's annual showcase for all the hot new video and computer games coming our way. The mission? To extract crucial info on the top N64 software naturally. Warrisbeer, our intrepid reporter, Alex, was on the ground, hitting up 12 software houses on the first day. We get a taste of his travels here, starting with a visit to Gremlin to check out Body Harvest. Then it's off to Ubisoft for a look at a whole bunch of titles like Buck Bumble and Rayman 2. Codemasters showed off Micro Machines Turbo 64 sounds promising, even if the power supply apparently blew mid-emo, bless 'em. Finally, Interplay had Earthworm Jim 3D lined up. The page gives little snippets from each visit, including amusing quotes and details like what the PR people were wearing, vital stuff obviously. You've also got some character art, looks like that chap from Body Harvest, and a couple of screenshots hinting at the action, perhaps a bit of Micro Machines chows, and some third-person antics. Good to see the N64 getting some love at the show. This page carries on the adventures at ECTS, kicking off with a look at Ubisoft's lineup. They were pushing Hype the Time Quest, a neat-looking action game linked to Playmobil, apparently. Sounded like a proper adventure for a brave knight. Then there was SCARS, which promised some Mad Cat racing action with cars based on animals, Lion Loke, Tiger Shark, cracking stuff. And for the sports fans, All-Star Tennis 99, featuring a roster of top players like Boris Becker. Oh wait, no, that's not right, it's the likes of Jonas Bjorkman and Anna Kournikova. Ah no, Jan Novotná, got it. Sounded like they were aiming for a solid tennis sim. Massy. Down the page, we've got Interplay, bringing Earthworm Jim 3D to the party. Our favourite invertebrate hero is back, this time dealing with a nasty knock on the head, and having to repair his brain, bless him. The levels are based on parts of his psyche, sounds a bit trippy but classic Jim. The page also continues the ECTS visit logs, detailing appointments with folks like Konami, ISS 98, Castlevania 3D, Eidos, nothing on N64 poor chaps, THQWCWNWO Revenge, Take-Two Silicon Valley, Nintendo themselves, 0x Zelda 64, Bomberman Hero The Usual Suspects, and Lego Racers. Lots of chat about the games and the PR people, including some absolute corker quotes. It looks like the show was packed with N64 goodness. This preview highlights upcoming N64 games, showcasing a diverse range of genres. Ubisoft's lineup includes Tonic Trouble, action, Monaco Grand Prix, racing sim, and Rayman 2, The Great Escape, platformer. Codemasters' Micro Machines, Turbo 64, promises multiplayer racing. Hasbro's Glover is a unique puzzle platformer. GT Interactive's Duke Nukem, a time-to-kill/0 hour boasts revolutionary visuals and time travel action. Crystal Dynamics' Gex 64 features gecko action. Konami's Hybrid Heaven is a futuristic action game. While Buck Bumble was visually impressive, it didn't generate as much excitement as other titles. The European Computer Trade Show, ECTS, was highlighted as a major event, with Nintendo heavily promoting the N64 and upcoming titles. Konami's Hybrid Heaven won Most Promising Game, while the N64 booth took stand of the show. HQ's WCW/NWO Revenge and Lego Racers were also showcased. However, Nintendo's Zelda 64, on display for the first time in the UK, was deemed the standout, praised for its visuals and scale. Other Nintendo titles like F-Zero X and Cruisin' World were also well received. The report concludes that the N64 is thriving, with price drops and numerous new releases anticipated for the Christmas season. This page is all about the highlights from ECTS, featuring the N64's star performers. Loads of people crammed into Nintendo's stand to see the lineup, and frankly, it looked cracking. Zelda 64 obviously was the absolute standout, being called one of the greatest games ever seen. The graphics are just stunning, smooth as butter. Star Wars, Rogue Squadron was right up there too, drawing big crowds with its promise of classic space combat done right. We also got a good look at Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, and Quake 2, both pushing the visuals with serious horsepower. Few other promising titles like Castlevania 64, V-Rally, Top Gear Overdrive, and Twisted Edge Snowboarding filled out a solid display. And then there's the mysterious A Rare Affair section, hinting at Perfect Dark, kept under wraps but clearly a big deal, especially as it ties into the other major reveal on the page, the expansion pack. This little beauty doubles the N64's memory, making games look loads better, and apparently is essential for some of the real graphical stunners like Turok 2 and Perfect Dark. It's official now, and if you want the best versions of these upcoming games, you'll want this pack come Christmas. The N64 library is looking incredibly strong. Nintendo dominated the ECTS Awards, winning Best Console Game of the Year for GoldenEye for the second year. Rare and Nintendo also took Best Developer and Best Publisher awards. The Color Game Boy, a surprise European reveal, boasts 56 colors and will launch in November. Nintendo's large ECTS booth showcased the N64 and Color Game Boy, along with previews of Perfect Dark and Conquer 64. A no-show report highlights some technical issues, including Quake 2 only being playable on Nintendo's stand. This page dives into the ECTS show, specifically looking at the peripherals and some of the games on display, penned by one Noah Lee. We get a look at some upcoming titles like Acclaim's NFL QB Club 99, which apparently looks gorgeous and will even use that new 4MB expansion pack we've heard about. Also from Acclaim is Shadow Man, a dark action game starring Mike Leroy, full of voodoo and aiming for an early next year release. Titus shows off Superman, another comic book hero making the leap, promising a 4-player deathmatch mode. Infogram/Ocean brings V-Rally, which the reviewer reckons might just be the best racer on the system. Beyond the games, there's a heap of kit to get excited about. Interact has the Dex drive, letting you transfer game saves to your PC, meaning you might finally stop hoarding memory packs. Fire International reveals their Hyper 64 controller, which sounds like a decent analog stick that can even mimic a steering wheel, plus a frankly massive 8MB memory card. Datel is pushing that crucial 4MB RAM expansion pack, confirming it enables higher resolutions and boosts the N64's power to 8MB, essential for games like the aforementioned NFL QB Club 99, Turok 2, and the new Zelda. Finally, Guillermo's Trilogy 64 bundle offers a standard controller, a rumble pack, and a 1MB memory card. Not a bad little package for the price. Lots of interesting bits and bobs coming our way. This page details the ISS 98 British Championship. Apparently they threw down a challenge in a previous issue for readers to send in their best goals on video, and only a select 6 were deemed skilled enough to face off against the N64 pros in this inaugural tournament sponsored by Konami. Sounds like a proper console footy showdown. We get a glimpse of the action with screenshots showing Italy and Germany duking it out, noted as popular team choices, though the champion ultimately went with Brazil. The readers and contestants are all featured here too, young lads mostly, including Carl and Neil, both 15 and doing their GCSEs in Cardiff, Ian from London starting college, Jing from Harrow who rocked an England top, Gary from Midlothian studying maths at Edinburgh Uni, and Gordon, a 17-year-old Stockport fan. The write-up mentions a bit about the group stage, noting Group A was tough, and Group B saw the N64 pros, Noah and Mark, pretty much dominate, which, let's be honest, is exactly what you'd expect from the magazine's own lot. Sounds like a genuinely great day for kicking digital balls around. The article details the ISS 98 British Championship, focusing on the group stage results, rules, and the final. Noah and Mark dominated Group B, and Steve and Carl led Group A. Championship rules included 5-minute halves, no replays, and points awarded for wins and draws. Key moments, like Jing's first goal and Gordon's mad moment, are highlighted. The semi-finals pitted top and second place finishers, Carl Amory, and another player from Group A advanced to the final. The final saw Carl Amory, 4-4-2, defeat Gary, 5-3-2, with a Brazilian squad, crowning Carl champion. The article concludes with Carl's victory speech, and a promise to defend his title. 2. This page previews Rally Edition 99, highlighting how it intends to showcase the awesome power of the N64. Featured is a great shot of a rally car alongside several screenshots giving us a peek at the gameplay. Let's face it, the N64 hadn't really nailed driving games compared to the competition. But Rally 99 looks set to deliver a proper tune-up, aiming to bring some serious thrills to the console. They've pulled in rally legend Ari Vatanen as a consultant, so you know the handling should be pretty spot on. You can expect a load of licensed cars from manufacturers like Ford, Subaru, Peugeot, and plenty more, all apparently detailed and handling realistically. There are multiple modes on offer, including arcade, championship, time trial, and rally, plus multiplayer support. The word from the producer is, they've developed new tech making the engine significantly faster, which bodes well for keeping the action smooth and speedy on the tracks. This one's definitely looking like it could put N64 racing on the map properly. This page continues our look at Rally Edition 99, giving us a closer view with several screenshots showcasing the graphics and environments. The article details the game modes, including the championship where you'll battle through 8 diverse countries, each with unique terrain and weather. Yes, you'll be dealing with everything from rain and snow to changing light conditions during a stage, which is a nice touch. Time trial mode lets you race against a ghost, and they even cheekily mention it's a reward for owning the best games console. You gotta love that confidence. Thankfully, there's also a 4-player split-screen mode, perfect for settling disputes among mates. The driving is described as pure adrenaline, fast and smooth, blending simulation elements with an arcade feel. We also get a breakdown of the vital statistics, confirming features like the 4 modes: Arcade, Time Trial, Championship Rally, 12 official 1998 cars, the 8 countries boasting 39 tracks in total, Mad Catz steering wheel compatibility, save options, and yes, those dynamic weather conditions and the 4-player fun. It seems like Rally 99 is packing plenty in to challenge the N64 racing scene properly. This page dives straight into a preview of Turok 2. Seeds of Evil, boldly declaring everybody shoot the dinosaur. Acclaim is back, showing us how dinosaurs met their maker, and apparently, it wasn't a pleasant end for them, which suits us just fine. You can't miss the huge close-up of a snarling dinosaur head, taking up most of the page. Definitely one of the stars you'll be putting down. We get a look at the game itself through a few screenshots, showing off the first-person action, some wicked-looking weapons, and the environments, including some ancient-looking structures and a rather intimidating bipedal enemy. The article highlights Acclaim pushing their N64 game lineup, confirming Turok 2 was a flagship title previewed at ECTS. It's the highly anticipated sequel to the original Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, promising all new levels with unique geometry and mapping. While the core gameplay feels familiar, they say it's simply bigger and better. Expect intense hunting battles against creatures with realistic reactions. Eyes bulging, skin wrinkling, flinching when you hit them. You'll have a hefty arsenal of 25 weapons to choose from. The game will feature both single and multiplayer modes, aiming to be a proper alternative to the likes of GoldenEye. There's also a brief mention of other Acclaim titles like Shadow Man and South Park covered elsewhere. Looks like November is shaping up to be a good month for dinosaur hunters. This page gives us a rather exciting special update on Body Harvest, and let me tell you, the tagline about spidery aliens taking liberties is spot on. The main title graphic screams, Miss Muffet's biggest nightmare, which is a perfectly dramatic way to describe this game. It kicks off in Greece in 1916, with Adam Drake facing off against hordes of aliens, who are rather rudely harvesting the locals. What sets this apart is the sheer variety of transport Adam can commandeer. We're talking cars, lorries, boats, planes, and even helicopters. Handy when you need to get away from monstrous alien insects. The game boasts over 50 characters you can interact with, offering help or, apparently, a good old-fashioned insult. Body Harvest is described as an action-adventure on an epic scale, something unique for the N64, though they cheeky say it's a bit like Twisted Metal or Die Hard Trilogy, but better apparently. We see screenshots featuring those creepy spider-like aliens, a boat sequence, and even a glimpse of the future where mankind has been wiped out. Developed right here in Dundee by DMA, good lads. It was near completion at 95%, looking set for a November release. Definitely something to look forward to if you fancy giving aliens a taste of their own medicine across different time periods. This page gives us a preview of Extreme G2, and the headline, I feel the need for more speed, certainly gets the point across. They cheekily suggest Acclaim has caught sequelitis, but it seems like a rather pleasant strain, judging by the improvements. As the review points out with a touch of classic gamer wisdom, there's nothing quite like seeing cool artwork for a preview, especially when it involves a character with a rather prominent. Well, you get the idea. Extreme G2 is being touted as the fastest racer on the N64, claiming to even outpace Zero X, which is quite the boast. The game looks to be packing a serious punch, with a massive jumping content over the original. We're talking 15 new bikes, 25 all-new tracks plus a handful of secrets, more weapons to blast your rivals with, loads of different environments, and even deathmatch and multiplayer modes. They've also apparently fixed one of the few gripes about the first game, by giving each bike its own unique rider, adding a bit more character. The screenshots show off the futuristic bikes flying around twisty tracks, with little snippets of commentary like wondering just how fast 474 GPH actually is, or pointing out the purest green glow from a bike. Looks like a high-octane thrill ride ready to satisfy the need for speed later this year. This page gives us a special update preview of Space Station, Silicon Valley, which the headline aptly describes as virtual bestiality. You'd better believe it, because this game sounds utterly mad. From the legendary DMA design, known for slightly more grounded things like, well, we won't go there just yet, comes this incredibly original title. The basic premise is bonkers. You play as a tiny chip that can possess dead mechanical animals on a derelict space station to use their unique abilities. We're talking bizarre creations like a tortoise tank, a dog with heat-seeking missiles, or even sheep that float. Yes, you read that right. The screenshots show off some of these weird and wonderful robot creatures, from a boxing kangaroo to an elephant getting shot by a tortoise, and penguins piling up snowballs. The text talks about solving puzzles by taking control of different animals and fending off vicious mutant versions. It seems this game was held up due to some quality control tweaks and having its RPG elements binned, but the magazine reckons it's all the better for it and is now almost finished. Definitely looks like a unique and hilarious romp worth checking out when it drops. This page brings us the latest installment of Computer Exchange Presents. Here's Toby. Our hero Toby is out in the garden, attempting some special moves whilst playing football with his little brother, when he spots a new girl next door, Jodie. Instantly smitten, he turns into a gurning, tongue-wagging mess, practically standing on his own face, much to Jodie's bewildered amusement. Later, Toby tries to play it cool, attempting to exude an air of sophisticated nonchalance, but is flustered when he sees Jodie sunbathing nude. He makes a complete fool of himself again, possibly. Smelling bad? He retreats indoors to lick his wounds, and presumably play games, but Jodie appears again, asking to borrow sugar. Toby's back in the game, gets excited, declares his undying love, and leaps at her. Then, BAM! We cut to 8 years later. Toby is now a rather large, disheveled bloke slumped in a chair, holding a pint, watching something dodgy on TV, while his wife, Jodie, holds a wailing baby and looks absolutely furious. Domestic bliss. He still loves Computer Exchange though, mentioning he got a game from them earlier in the strip, and the advert below highlights their new Watford branch and mail order service. They also have loads of stores, selling and buying all sorts of titles. Sounds like a cracking place for a bargain. This page is where the magic happens. It's the swap shop, your one-stop shop for finding or getting rid of those N64 carts you're bored of. The page features a big, bold logo and a photo of Banjo-Kazooie. Well, a bloke who looks like he stepped straight out of the 80s, ready to trade some classics. Banjo-Kazooie. Loads of readers have sent in their requests, looking to swap everything from Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye to Mario Kart 64 and various wrestling games. It seems like there's someone out there wanting pretty much anything, so if you've got a dusty cart, this is the place to find it a new home. Warrior? They've even got a swap of the month, highlighting Superstar Soccer 64 this time, probably worth a look if you're into footy. And check out the top swap list. Everyone's clamoring for Banjo-Kazooie and Mission Impossible, while poor Diddy Kong Racing and Super Mario 64 are apparently gathering dust. Seems the popular opinion shifts quickly in the N64 world. If you want to get involved, there's a handy form to fill out with your swap details and contact info. So dig out those unwanted games and get trading. This page is packed with useful stuff if you missed out on early issues. First off, you can finally grab those N64 Pro back issues you've been hunting for. Looks like the early ones, 1 through 8, flew off the shelves straight away. Typical, the good ones always go fast. But you can still pick up issues 9 through 13. Issue 11 had Banjo-Kazooie on the cover, a proper classic, and issue 12 featured F-Zero X, a speedy beast. And check out issue 13 with Body Harvest on the cover, apparently a massive 200 pages. Sounds like a serious read. There's a handy order form right there to make it easy, though you'll have to fill it out the old-fashioned way. Elsewhere on the page you've got a quick reference for cheats and tips across a load of N64 games, organized by genre, from racing games like Mario Kart 64 to platformers like Banjo-Kazooie, and even shoot-em-ups like GoldenEye. If you're stuck, there's a phone line to call, but beware, they weren't exactly cheap back then. You've also got adverts for importing games and finding hardware, plus a cheeky ad for some backup device. Handy, if you knew where to look. And hey, Donkey Kong wants you to advertise. Good for him. The Pro Post Letters section features reader feedback on 64 games. A reader praises the magazine's mature tone and the length of Banjo-Kazooie, hoping for a challenging Zelda. Another asks about Mario 64's boo sounds, revealing a fascinating fact. A reader appreciates honest reviews and the mention of a memory card. The page also discusses mail order prices, potential PlayStation content, ruled out, and speculation about Banjo-Tooie and Zelda on the DD disc. Finally, a reader outlines their ideal game based on popular N64 titles. This issue's Pro post features reader feedback praising the N64 Pro's mature tone and format, highlighting its superior approach compared to other publications. A reader points out leftover game elements in GoldenEye's cradle level. Another commends the magazine's layout and suggests a GoldenEye/Gran Turismo hybrid. A reader's letter includes a veiled plea for a free game for their brother. Other letters praise the layout and subscription, referencing Spy Hunter. One reader, unaware of released games, requests details on Earthworm Jim 3D and Turok 2. Finally, questions about Tonic Trouble, Shadowman, and RPGs are addressed, with the magazine pointing readers to other resources. The issue concludes with a reader praising the magazine's quality and highlighting their favorite games, GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie. This page is the ultimate guide to N64 gaming, kicking off with a welcome message about cramming in all the vital info to help you decide what to buy. You've got charts galore here, showing the top games according to N64 Pro, an average from various magazines, and the top racing games. It's good to see classics like Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye sitting pretty high up there, absolute belters those. Just baying, the rest of the page is packed with reviews for various releases. You've got everything from snowboarding with 1080 degrees, to demolishing buildings in Blast Core. A proper good blast that one was. Then there are some less stellar entries. Turok, bless its heart, didn't quite make the cut, looking like a Mario Kart wannabe that got lost. And Cruisin' World? Yeah, better than the first, but still miles off being actually good. Poor gameplay strikes again. Buck Bumble had some decent ideas, playing as a Cyber Bee, but just didn't sting the competition. Still plenty of other games covered though, running the gamut from baseball to fighting and platformers. It's a decent spread showing what was out and about. This page jumps straight into a massive profile of games, kicking off with a top marks list to give you a quick peek at the high flyers. It's a proper mix of everything you could want to play back then. You've got racers that absolutely fly, like Extreme G with its blinding speed, and Diddy Kong Racing, which was just jaw-droppingly gorgeous with its variety of tracks. Buying that one was practically the law. F1 World Grand Prix was a serious contender too, looking photorealistic and nailing the replays. On the flip side, Cruisin' USA was a bit of a state. Doom 64 felt a bit past its prime compared to GoldenEye, and some of those fighting games like Dual Heroes and Clay Fighter were frankly abysmal. Definitely ones to steer clear of. There are some cracking sports titles like ISS 64 and FIFA 98 showing how far football games had come, and shooters like Duke Nukem 64 bringing the fast-paced mayhem. Then you've got the quirky ones like Iggy's Wrecking Balls, a neat idea that didn't quite stick the landing, or the utterly bizarre Fire Electric Pen. It really shows the breadth of titles hitting the N64 at the time, some absolute gems, and a few that belonged in the bin. This N64 game review covers various titles. Positive reviews go to Lilat Wars, Star Fox 64, Mario Kart 64, Mischief Makers, Madden 64, Mission Impossible, and Pilotwings 64. NHL Breakaway is praised for its unique challenge. Mortal Kombat 4 is a decent brawler, but the Mortal Kombat Mythologies and Trilogy installments are criticized. Off-Road Challenge is deemed a poor choice. Rakuga Kids is considered rental-worthy, at best. The review also showcases top puzzle and platformer games, including Wii Tricks, Buster Move 2, Banjo-Kazooie, and Super Mario 64. This page is absolutely packed with reviews, covering everything from shooters and racers to sports and fighting games. We've got classics like Quake 64, described as good as GoldenEye but not quite, and Turok, which they reckon is a bit heavy on the jumping. San Francisco Rush is a bit divisive, apparently, but worth a look, while Top Gear Rally gets a solid thumbs up for its handling. Wave Race 64 is hailed as one of the finest racing games ever, and Super Mario 64, which we've discussed before, is still the absolute pinnacle of platforming brilliance. Seriously, the best video game ever. On the fighting front, War Gods gets absolutely hammered, called the worst fighting game on the N64, which is quite an indictment. WWF Warzone is a new entry and sounds like a serious contender, while WCW vs Ngayo also gets a decent nod. We also see reviews for Snowboard Kids, Tetrasphere, Yoshi's Story, and even Virtual Chess. Plus, there are top marks lists for shoot-em-ups and sports sims, highlighting games like GoldenEye and World Cup '98. And lurking in the middle is none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin, apparently not bothered about showing off his armpits, which is a bold choice for a gaming magazine, I suppose. A real mixed bag of hits and misses on this page. This page is all about what's coming up next month, and blimey, is it a big one? The headline feature is an exclusive review of Gremlin's N64 debut, Body Harvest, which they reckon is spectacular, and judging by that creature on the page, probably a bit gruesome too. We're also getting hyped for the countdown to Zelda, Ocarina of Time, finally, and a full reveal of Perfect Dark sounds like it's got a lot to live up to. And for you footy fans, there are hints on how to dominate in ISS 98. They're also covering a whole load of other stuff you need to know about, like Turok 2, Castlevania 3D, Extreme G2, and Rally 64, keeping up with the kinda titles we saw reviewed last month. Plus, next issue is apparently massive, with a free book and the results of the reader's vote for the top 50 Nintendo games ever. On the right, there's a big old advert for the Special Reserve Discount Club selling consoles and games, offering various deals and bundles.